Today, we have gathered here to talk about health and wellness innovations, the marvels of UltraShear, a topic that I know many of you will resonate with. And in a world where health and wellness are becoming increasingly important, it's essential that we stay up to date with the latest advancements and technologies that can help us achieve our health goals. And who better to talk to us about this than Rick and John from Pressure BioSciences? It's a company at the forefront of pressure-based platform solutions. And let me just tell you a bit more about them. So firstly, we have Mr. Richard T. Schumacher, the president and CEO of Pressure BioSciences. Rick is a dynamic leader and visionary in the field of high pressure-based technologies. He spearheads the company's mission to provide cutting-edge equipment, consumables, and specially testing services to various industries worldwide. Rick has founded and co-founded three companies with market cap of over $3 billion. With a deep understanding of biotherapeutics, nutraceuticals, cosmeceuticals, food and beverage, and other sectors, Rick brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the table. His strategic vision and innovation approach have played a pivotal role in driving the success of Pressure BioSciences. Next, we have Mr. John Hollister, the accomplished Director of Marketing and Sales at PBIO. John has been the CEO of several public and private healthcare-related companies, and John is known for his expertise to driving business growth and forging successful marketing strategies. With a proven track record of excellence, he consistently delivers remarkable results in the dynamic world of marketing and sales. We are excited to have both Rick and John here today to share their insights and expertise on the marvels of UltraShear and its potential application in various industries. We appreciate your presence and interest. And before we begin, please note, during this event, we will not discuss or address questions related to their stock price or any financial metrics associated with stock performance. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation in this regard. So I am going to now hand over to Rick without any further ado, and let's hear from the experts themselves. So over to you, Rick.
Thank you, Tanya, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to everybody that's on this webinar. Thanks for taking time today to learn a little bit about Pressure BioSciences. We're a publicly traded company on the OTCQB, and about our amazing technology that we're very excited about called UltraShear technology, or UltraShear. And specifically, we're going to talk today about the role that UltraShear can play in health and wellness, and some very innovative things that are going on in that area. So again, thank you, and John is agreed to join me. So John, welcome, and we'll share the presentation. As always, because we're a publicly traded company, we need to let everyone know there may be forward-looking statements. So please do your homework before you're thinking about investing into any public company. We are, as a company, we have 39 issued patents and another 24 patents that are pending right now. And we expect to file more patents as each week and month go on. The patents are in three different areas: UltraShear, that we're going to talk about, and two other areas that we won't delve in today, but perhaps at a later webinar: pressure cycling technology, or PCT, and Beverage. PCT is a technology that's used by companies all over the world. We have instruments that use this technology in virtually every continent of the world except Antarctica, and we also are working with a number of people in Beverage. Those are stories for a different day. Right now, we're going to talk about UltraShear technology. We have 8 issued patents. We have a very good patent estate and IP estate. And UltraShear is based upon the use of ultra high pressure and very intense shearing. So we've been able to combine these two marvelous parts of nature, ultra high pressure and intense shearing. And I like to say we've made 1 + 1 = 20. So they are very synergistic. And when they come together, they've given us an opportunity to change a number of industries. And certainly health and wellness is one of the industries that we're eager to get into more and eager to talk about today. So when you start a company or you have a company, you're always looking to solve a problem. If you, as a company, if you can solve a problem, you've got a good future ahead. There is a huge problem out there, and that is that oil-based active ingredients, vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, K, and a lot of supplements, things like curcumin and omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, astaxanthin, the most powerful antioxidant on the face of the earth. These are all in oil. Many cosmetics are oil-based. Retinol is the molecule that is in most cosmetics, especially the anti-aging creams and serums. Pharmaceuticals, I read the other day that 44% of all new drug candidates are in oil. Agrochemicals, food, beverage. If all these active ingredients are in oil and we as humans are water-based and our pets are water-based, plants are water-based, how do we get the active ingredients out? How do we get them into the system so they can do what they're supposed to do, which is to help us? And that's a problem because it's known, absolutely known that because of the oil nature of many of these products that I've mentioned, many of these active ingredients, they're not absorbed very well. And so we can take CBD, we can take vitamin D3, we can take curcumin, and we're lucky to get 5, 10, 15% of the active ingredient out. And then we excrete the oil with the rest of the active ingredient. So we're paying a lot of money in billions of dollars, and we're not getting the advantage of what we want from the oil-based active ingredients. So that is a huge problem in multi-billion dollar industries around the world. They're very, very poorly absorbed. We know that as scientists, and science has told us many years now, that if you can break the oil down to very small particles, very small oil droplets, and spread that active ingredient among millions or perhaps tens of millions or hundreds of millions of tiny, what we call nano-sized oil droplets, the bioavailability, the absorption, the stability, all of these important factors are going to increase. So the secret of solving this problem is finding a way that you can break oil containing important active ingredients down to nano droplets of oil so that the absorption rate, the bioavailability, and stability all increase dramatically. The low quality emulsions are on the market. Most emulsions that are on the market, remember, emulsions are where you have two liquids or more that you put together that aren't going together well. So they, like oil and water is the one we all talk about from the time we're kids. They just don't mix. Well, with our UltraShear technology, oil and water do mix. And that's important because if we can get oil and water to mix, to essentially go into each other, then we can increase the stability, the absorption, and the bioavailability. So with this issue at hand, we went out to develop an instrument that could use Mother Nature to break oil drops down to very, very small nano oil droplets to increase the bioavailability and the stability of the active ingredients. And we've done that with UltraShear. It took us 6 years. But we'll be changing, we believe, many industries in the way they act, in the products that they sell, and in health and wellness, especially when you're talking about taking a number of vitamins and nutrients, you want to be able to get those into the system. So the current strategy that we had was develop an instrument. Don't do it with chemistry. We have enough chemicals. We have too many chemicals that we as human beings and our pets are taking. Let's not do it chemically. Let's do it through Mother Nature. Let's use physics. Let's break the oil down. So we've developed an instrument that does just that. We've named it UltraShear. The technology is UltraShear. And we believe so far with the data that's been generated by independent sources, some of which will be published very soon, that our UltraShear technology can increase the bioavailability, which is the amount of that active ingredient that you get inside the body, by 15-fold. We can increase the speed of it, reaction of getting it into the bloodstream, getting it into the body by 10-fold or more, and we can increase the stability by at least 5 times or more. So we're very excited about UltraShear, an instrument that breaks down oil and therefore allows the oil-based ingredients, the active ingredients, to get into the system much faster, much better, and have much more impact. So as an example, if you look at this, this is just a cartoon. If on the left is pretty much what we have now in many of the pharmaceuticals and topicals and nutraceuticals that we take and use. The skin is a great a blocker. It keeps things from getting into the body as it's supposed to do. And so most of the materials that are out there that are emulsions, they go onto the skin. They don't go into the skin. And if they do, they don't go very far into the skin. So those are your large macro emulsions. Then if you look at the smaller emulsions, the mini emulsions, they can get through a layer or two of the skin. But when you get into nano emulsions, you're talking about getting a topical that can get into the skin, into the blood by going through the skin. Very few people, very few groups have developed true nano emulsions. There's a lot of talk out there by a lot of companies that we believe are pretenders that say they have nano emulsions. We have academic and customer data that's proving that we do in fact have true nanoemulsion where the oil droplets have been broken down to be so small they can actually get absorbed through the skin and can get to the site that you want to get to of the inflammation or get into the bloodstream through the skin. What I want to do now is introduce John Hollister, who's a marketeer par excellence, but he's also been CEO, as we heard earlier, of a couple of companies, and he's got big company history too and experience. John will take a few slides here and talk about the actual instrument that we're developing and some of the data we've generated. John?
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning from all the places around the country and the world, I suspect. The instrument that we've developed is what we like to term inside. It's better, faster, cheaper, and smarter instrument in terms of creating these nanoemulsions. So our goal is, as Rick was sharing, and we'll share a little bit of data on this, is to create particle sizes. And our goal has really been to use a size under 100 nanometers because the behavior of these particles changes once you get there. They become opaque, materials become clear, they no longer refract light, they are clearly absorbable. You're able to put them through filters, standard pharmaceutical filters, kind of where I started in vaccines, 2-micron filters to help sterilize whatever product you've made, which is what we do with all of our products. Cheaper because we're able to achieve outcomes faster than anybody, and frankly, better outcomes than anybody in the business. And I'll show you some data on that in a moment. And so faster always equates in the world of manufacturing with almost always with time. And then smarter, we have a lot of patents in this. So we're protecting this IP portfolio that we have with the goal of improving bioavailability, stability, and appearance of products, and those, as we'll describe in a few minutes, is different in different markets. Those attributes have different benefits depending on the category of business you are in. Next slide. Rick?
It's not moving, John. There we go.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I want to orient you on the charts on the left. The one on the top, on the bottom of it, the x-axis, you see the number of passes. Those passes refer to, if you're thinking of a batch of product, it goes in to the entry part of the machine. It goes through the process, goes through the port, and then it returns to where it started. That's one pass. Each pass has an impact on the y-axis, on the left-hand side, which is the particle size. The red graph that you see here are the results of the similar kind of product being put through the industry's best homogenizers right now. And you see with each successive pass, the particle sizes get a little bit smaller. And then somewhere about 9 passes, they begin to plateau, and you see a law of diminishing returns with each pass. And at some point, it just flatlines. You never get any smaller than that. If you look at the green chart, which is the results from our system, you see that our UltraShear process drops but by the time you get to somewhere about the third pass, you actually achieve a particle size that's smaller than the industry's best homogenizers will ever achieve. And then we start plateauing somewhere about 6 or 7 passes. And so a company could choose how small their particle they want to get for the outcomes that they want to get. But in any event, after 3 passes, we actually are to a place which is smaller than any of the industry homogenizers right now, the best homogenizers. On the lower graph, what you're looking at is the clarity. And so the bottom scale is still the x-axis is still the number of passes, but the y-axis going up is actually the clarity. So transmittance, that's the amount of light that's getting through the product. And what you see again is the red chart starts plateauing somewhere around 14 or 15 passes. That's a lot of time, a lot of money to get to that point. The green graph represents our results with the very same material. By the time you're actually up at 4 or 5 passes, the clarity of the product is better than the competition can get, no matter how many passes they go. So it really is startling and exciting results. But I want to translate this into what this actually looks like. So if you can, click on the video. So the video we're looking at here will be standard off-the-shelf major brand of water, quote unquote, water-soluble CBD being dropped into a glass of water. On the right is UltraShear processed CBD being dropped into the very same kind of water. And then we're going to stir it up for you. And it remains almost entirely clear. Whereas the other quote unquote water-soluble CBD is anything but clear. And you'd have to make the choice which beverage you'd prefer drinking. So we're very excited about this kind of result. And we believe that the beverage industry will have a similar result that we have, or the same reaction to it. Next slide, please. So when I'm talking about different market segments, and we're going to talk about a few of them right now, we're talking really big segments. Nutraceuticals, those include the CBD world, but they also are curcumin, they're astaxanthin, there are a whole host of products, CoQ10, all sorts of products that you see them advertised on television. So many of them, as Rick alluded to, are essential oils or oils that are very poorly absorbed. And we know we can improve the absorption of any of them and have been successful with every single one we've tried. And it's huge, 10 billion plus business. Cosmeceuticals. So these are typically topicals that are anti-aging creams. They are sometimes pains. They are intended to be medicinal on one level or another. But the deep dark secret, it's very difficult to penetrate the dermis, the skin. And when we make particle sizes that are a lot smaller, we can actually deliver into the dermis things like retinol with the goal of really improving the targeted results. And the skincare market is huge. So you see a number down below, over $100 billion per year. And we'll touch on that in a second. And then lastly, on the right-hand side are the food and beverage products. And this is an industry that is, clearly a huge industry already, or industries. So we'd say, this is $1 trillion market if you take food and beverage together. We'll probably focus initially more on the beverage conversation, but the opportunities in food processing and food enhancement, helping the shelf life stability of fruits and vegetables in the store. The potential there is huge. Next slide, please. So the next few slides will focus a little bit more on specific markets. So here's nutraceuticals, and the benefits that we see delivering through UltraShear are improved absorption, really important because you can use less product, much better stability. We have results for up to 3 years right now on products that are rock solid. When I say stability, I mean there's been no change in the particle size nor clarity. So these products are just remaining stable, and we believe that's a function of the processing that we do in our very unique way. I mentioned manufacturing efficiency because cost is real important to nutraceutical companies. You saw the slide before. It takes less time with our technology to get to small particles and the clarity than it does with anybody else. And in fact, we can achieve better particle sizes and stability than anybody else in business. That can translate when you use less product to saving costs for the companies potentially. Then lastly, I've used scalability. Our technology, unlike other people, we hear all the time that the other approaches to making emulsions are not scalable. And we know this for a fact. This system was developed to be supremely scalable. And we've already proven that by doing very large volumes in very short times. When we talk about the companies that are our targets, that's over on the right-hand side. They are all sorts of household names. I mean, truly household names. Some of the top 100 companies of the world are in the nutraceutical world and have presence there. So we're excited about the long-term growth for the company driven by these companies. And below, and you'll see this on each of the slides, is a reference to just some of our recent news. So we've been putting out news multiple times a month about these different markets. And these are just a few recent ones in the nutraceutical area. Next slide, please. Here's how it translates in terms of pictures, because pictures are worth 1,000 words. This is CBD, a nutraceutical. And on the left, you see what CBD oil typically looks like. This has been processed. This would be what we would refer to as kind of a macro emulsion. It's opaque. You can't see through it. You can't see the letters that are behind that milky substance. And the product on the right is actually UST processed, same material, but after it's processed, the particles get so small that light doesn't get refracted. And the best example of that pink line that the cursor is on, that's a laser being pointed through the UST process. And you can see it go all the way through the material. You can see it while it's in there. So it's actually picking up some reflection off of some of the material that's in there, but it goes all the way through and then it hits the wall, the opaque CBD in the kind of natural emulsion that it is. Really fabulous, and it translates just visually into a much more aesthetically appealing ability to put into other beverages, as well as it diffuses, as you saw earlier, as if it were water. Next slide, please. Cosmeceuticals, really exciting. I know some of you have probably seen our news about Dr. Dinesh. I have a slide in the next slide about that. I know how excited she is, and we're excited because we believe we can deliver a number of different really important biologic products into the skin that will have real benefits in the cosmeceutical world. And again, the same sorts of benefits apply as they do in nutraceuticals to this. So it's improved absorption, better stability, manufacturing efficiency. You can use likely a lot less material to accomplish the same goals and perhaps better goals. And on the right, you see the name brands that certainly my family knows about. I could probably go into my wife's shelf and find a whole bunch of the products from these different companies, but it's a huge marketplace. And again, we've announced a number of different big pieces of news recently about our advances in this area. Next slide. And to that effect, this is a person who's familiar to many people who know skincare, Dr. Adrienne Dinesh. She's very famous MD, PhD, who has created brilliant products, mostly targeted anti-aging. And we've announced publicly that we're working with her on a retinoate serum to help the skin. Super exciting. And as you see, there's her quote about the remarkable results that she's seen with our product, and which is, it's great to get that third party kind of acknowledgement of what she's seeing is a surprise and really, really exciting to her. We're also working on something to help hair regrowth using minoxidil. And so we're very excited about that development too. Next slide. The last area that I want to touch on is food and beverage, which, really truly is a multi-trillion-dollar market. We're only really focused at this point on the beverage side of it, but we're actually exploring and doing work in a whole lot of different facets. We have announced some work with Ohio State, and Ohio State has published on work in food. But right now, The beverage side of it, the benefits are on the left, which is clarity, clean label. We've been trying to develop formulations that are non-GMO, all natural products. We actually have been doing a number of products that are totally preservative free, which is, very exciting. There's a huge growth in the demand for trying to have preservative free products. Of course, the improved absorption is really important in this space. Better stability, the extended shelf life for produce, which represents a huge potential market where you can make a coating that's a natural coating of a product that helps slow down the spoilage of plants so you can keep them for a little longer in a natural way. Enhanced flavor, as you make particles smaller, they actually have more surface area. So particles, some of these products can actually have bigger smell or bigger taste, which could be interesting, as well as you can actually likely change a little of the way your flavor buds actually taste these things. And then lastly, again, scalability, because scalability in this industry, in the food and beverage, is hugely important. When we get to working with PepsiCo or Coca-Cola, just as an example, they don't do anything on a small scale. Everything is done on, what I would say are ginormous scale. They're scales that are just numbers that are hard to even for us to conceive. And so in order to actually work with them, you have to be able to produce huge amounts of material. And so the UltraShear is an absolutely supremely scalable product or machine device. And you see a couple of recent announcements. And with that, I think I'll turn it over back to Rick so he can take it to the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that overview. And I think you can hear the excitement in John's voice and hopefully in my voice. This slide gets me very excited because we look at our commercialization roadmap. Now, it's important to point out that our first UltraShear product was just released 2 months ago. First of what we think will be many, many dozens of products over the coming months and years, if not hundreds. We were primarily developing instruments for the other two areas of our business, the PCT and the Barrelfold. We started working on UltraShear about 6 years ago, and we got our first product to market. We are not going direct to consumer, we're going business to business. And so we are making nano emulsified products. And the first one that we started with, the so-called low-hanging fruit, is CBD. CBD is a very interesting, it can be a very beneficial molecule. It's been shown anecdotally to help a lot of people in a lot of ways. There's a strong demand for CBD. And I think as time goes on, we're going to find it to be a very, very effective molecule in a number of areas. And it's easy to get into. And so because it's approved for sale anywhere in the U.S. and in many places outside of the U.S. So we started there, but there's a problem, and that there's a number of publications that said CBD is only absorbed less than 5% before the rest of it is excreted from the body. And so we jumped into that. We have an academic study that we've talked about publicly a number of times that we know has been submitted for publication. We can't talk about what's in it. We did not do the study. It was done by a guru in cannabis, one of the top cannabis key opinion leaders in the country, in the U.S., if not the world. And we're very excited that this will be published in a peer-reviewed journal. We think it'll be out in a matter of weeks, maybe days, but weeks. And we believe it will show just how potent and good a nanoemulsification by UltraShear is so different than anything else, that we've branded it UltraShear Nano because we believe we can get down very consistently to a level that allows it to be absorbed much more than what we're absorbing now from other so-called nano or non-nano CBD. And think of CBD as a surrogate for many, many other active ingredients. And that's what you have on this chart. So Nutraceuticals, sure, CBD, we started with CBD, but there's so many other nutraceuticals that are so important to health and wellness, so many that are proven to be antioxidants, proven to be immune system boosters that can help us sleep. They can lower our anxiety. They can do so many things, many of these active ingredients. But unfortunately, or fortunately, many of them are in oil. So we looked at this as a great opportunity for a company like us, because we're small, we're nimble, we can move very quickly, and we have. And we saw an opportunity, and we are jumping on that opportunity. So our first product was shipped just 2 months ago. We announced just 3 weeks ago that we've gone from 4 to 9 distributors, and each of these distributors have a number of different end users or retail sites where they're selling to the end user. Our goal is to go to at least 50 over the next year, and we are hoping that those 50 will take us to several hundred retail outlets that will be selling, of course, to tens of thousands of consumers. And if you have the best game in town, then it's a question of marketing and letting the world know that you do have the best game in town, and we believe that we do. So we want to go further than CBD. CBD is only the first product. We're looking at astaxanthin. We're looking at curcumin. We're looking at vitamins like vitamin D3. These are all very strongly shown to be strong antioxidants, and there's others that like minoxidil, that is an oil that can help hair regrowth. There's others that can help in enormous different ways that we want to get into for anxiety, for sleep. And the key here is these are all in oil, and if they're in oil, you need to make them and not by adding chemicals. We don't add chemicals. Everything we've added to our CBD is plant-based, all natural. We don't even add a preservative in it, because we have far too many preservatives in the foods and the drinks we have right now. And when you're working with high pressure and shear, you can do that. You can get a very good stability. And in this case, we can sterile filter. We get so small that we can put it through a sterile filter and filter out any bacteria. And we don't have to put in any preservatives into it. So we're very excited about the nutraceutical area, omega-3, coenzyme Q, Cosmeceuticals. We've done retinol. We've worked with we've talked to some of the biggest cosmetics firms in the world, and we talked to some startups and some in between. And several have now seen our retinol and what we can do and how more potent we can make retinol by using our nanomulsification process. Food and beverage. There was a paper out by our colleagues at Ohio State. We collaborate with Ohio State. They're experts. They have an entire college of food, agriculture, and environmental science. They are experts in the area of high pressure. We've been working with them now for a number of years, and they published a couple of papers. They were looking at a sustainable area of getting plant protein. Peas are very interesting because they'll grow almost anywhere. They don't need a lot of water. They don't need a lot of anything. They just grow. But it's hard to get the protein out of pea, and especially to get it to be soluble. They published within 2 papers in the last year talking about the getting solubility of the pea proteins through UltraShear. So we're very excited to continue working with Dr. Bala and his entire team and his colleagues at Ohio State University. Agrochemical, pharmaceutical, the biggest area of all would be pharmaceutical. Of course, that's one has the most difficulty of getting to market. Many of the ones we've named so far have minimal difficulty getting to market. Pharmaceutical is by far multiples the largest market that we can get into. 44%, as I mentioned earlier, of all new drug candidates are in oil. You remember, when you get a pharmaceutical, often you see on the side it says shake well before using. It's because it's an emulsion, and if you don't shake well, you may be getting just part of what you want because it isn't mixed up well. It's like a vinaigrette salad dressing that you shake incredibly hard before you put it on your salad. Imagine putting that vinaigrette salad dressing through our system. Theoretically, it would become one solution, and it would never separate. And that's what we think will happen to a number of pharmaceuticals that we are looking at right now. We've already done prednisone and shown that we can nanomulsify prednisone. So imagine never having to see shake well before using again, because they've used UltraShear And by using UltraShear, they've gotten the 2 or 3 different phases that are in there into one liquid, and it'll never separate. That's the secret of UltraShear. This is why we think health and wellness is such a big market for us, because we can make things more potent, more bioavailable, more absorbable, and with much higher quality. And there's even industrial uses, lubricants and paints and things like that, that eventually we'll look to go into. Couple of last slides, and then we'll open it up for questions. We've been in the business of supplying a pressure-based instrument for 15 years, all around the world, to scientists, mostly in the protein area. This slide is up because these are our customers. We have customers in really almost every major protein lab, pharmaceutical company in the world, certainly throughout Europe and throughout North America. And so we have access to people and that can make the introductions that we need to certain companies. So some of these companies are also in health and wellness. Some of these companies are also in food and beverage. And so there are customers and have been for many, many years in our pressure cycling or our Barifold. And so we're going to use that and access those contacts to get us into the areas where UltraShear could be of a benefit to the company. So that's what we're showing today. We're a small, nimble, very innovative, highly driven, publicly traded company. We own UltraShear. We have 17 patents that are pending. We have 8 patents that are issued. We have some patents that, they say you can get around any patent. You probably can eventually, but several of our patents are absolutely key to making UltraShear UltraShear. And so it's going to be difficult, we think, for others to get around those patents, but we're not going to sit on our laurels. We're going to continue to file patents. We're going to continue to go where people haven't gone before. We're going to continue to use UltraShear in ways to, especially in health and wellness, in ways to make things better, more soluble, more bioavailable, and much more stable, and therefore better, higher quality for all of us. So at this point, Tanya, I'd like to turn it back to you and see if we've got some questions.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Rick and John. It has been a very insightful presentation. And yes, we have been seeing questions flooding in. People are putting out their comments about how excited they are. We are even seeing some excitement on our LinkedIn Live session where, we have a lot of feedback coming in through. So hitting start on the Q&A section, we have a question that came up by Dr. Kelman, and he is asking that the machines that you even spoke about in the initial stage of the presentation, can they handle the volumes that may be needed for from a manufacturer point of view of a large scale size like Procter & Gamble, for instance? So do you have the capacity right now to handle large scale volumes of manufacturing under the technology that you have?
I'm going to say a couple things, and I'm going to turn it over to the guy that needs to answer this, our head of sales and marketing with tremendous experience. I just want to remind everybody that we just commercialized. We broke the champagne 2 months ago. We just commercialized. I should say we broke the bottle after we drank the champagne. 2 months ago in the area of CBD. We have initial instruments that we have available for us. We're doing it through a tolling process where we've asked people to send us your molecule, if it's retinol or if it's astaxanthin or if it's CBD. And we will nanoemulsify it and send it back to you. So we're doing everything in-house. Our plan is over the next couple of years to go into the business of developing instruments, everything from benchtop to small floor to large instruments to be able to handle everything. John's made it very clear on 2 or 3 slides that this is a technology that is absolutely scalable. It's scalable to any part you want to get to, as long as you have a warehouse big enough for the pump and motor. But where we are right now, I'll turn it over to John and where we'll be.
Thanks, Rick. So it's a great question. We have to think about our scaling in a smart way. But I can say this: we already have an instrument at Ohio State and one that we have in our facility in Massachusetts that can process and has processed liters of product per minute. So it depends a little on what the final product you're looking for. If it's a concentrated material that you're then infusing into, so for instance, a beverage, if you're trying to make a concentrate of vitamins or CBD that you're putting into beverages, we could produce huge volumes even today for a customer. If what you're wanting to do is to produce and process huge volumes that are the final form of product, that might take a while because it would require more machines. But we are very open to speaking to companies who are willing to help us scale that in the nearer term. But the reality is, I mentioned a couple of times, this technology is supremely scalable, and we have already processed what are considered very large volumes very quickly today. So I think I'd have to answer the question is, yeah, we could actually do very large volumes for customers, particularly if it's the concentrate form that gets infused into other products. Hope that answers your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, John Rick. We have another question that came up anonymously, that has the company thought about selling or licensing some of the massive technologies and the patents that you have to build finances and even commercialize UltraShear?
Well, the question is, have we thought about it? The answer is we've absolutely thought about it. I can't go into any details, but I think that question probably came up from the fact that we have 39 issued patents and 20 or so more that we expect to be delivered and awarded soon, and we have more going in. So with all this technology as a smaller company, but more importantly, with a company that has UltraShear, which in my lifetime is by far the best thing I've ever been given. So I'm very excited about UltraShear. I've told someone in my family the other day, I said, it's like owning electricity 150 years ago. And someone says, okay, so you have this thing called a light bulb, but you're a one-trick pony. Little did they know how electricity was going to expand into tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of products. So this is a platform technology, UltraShear. It can do so much in so many areas. It is just an amazing technology. It is patented. Working with high pressure is not easy. We've done this for 15 years, so we're experts at high pressure. Combining high pressure and shearing is not easy. So we've done this now for 6 years. So the answer is we're putting about 90% of all of our efforts into UltraShear because the return is very quick. We can come up with a product next week and have revenue a month from then. That doesn't happen in many industries, and it certainly doesn't happen in the other two areas that we have. So the easy answer is we are loaded with technology. I'd love to do it all, but I'm a realist, and I know we can't do it all. So whoever asked that question, the answer is it's a good question. Well, we need to look at what we really can't use right now as we focus on UltraShear and see perhaps it's a nice way of non-dilutive financing for our shareholders to take some of this out and license or sell some of the areas that are highly patent, but they're not really part of the business going forward. So I would say yes, we've thought about it. And as we think more about it, maybe there'll be some news coming out on it. The world spends billions and billions and billions of dollars on buying some supplements and vitamins and taking pharmaceuticals and using cosmetics and agrochemicals that could be so good to get us a clean label food, and yet the material, the active ingredient, is in an oil and it just washes off. It doesn't get absorbed. We take it. I take vitamin D3 and I know that I'm only probably getting 10% of it out of that capsule. We're very excited because not only is this going to be a great win, we believe, for our shareholders, but we're gonna change industries. We're gonna have them be able to develop products that good product inside that oil is going to be able to be better absorbed, become more bioavailable. So it's exciting when you have a company and you have a product line that you think will sustain the company and become profitable for the company. It makes it even more exciting when you can change industries for the better and for the better health of the people that are buying those products. So it keeps us going, every day, and we're very excited about what we have.